My name is Olivia Carter. I'm 32 years old, a single mother of two incredible daughters, Emma, who's 8, and Lily, who just turned 6. I live in a modest but happy home in the suburbs of Ohio. Life's never been easy, but I've always tried to make the best of it. For my girls and for myself. I've worked 2 jobs, sacrificed sleep, skipped meals. Also, my daughters could grow up feeling loved, protected, and safe. But nothing prepared me for the day when my ex-mother-in-law, Margaret, decided to wage war on our peace. Let me backtrack a little. I met my ex-husband, Daniel Carter, in college. He was charming, funny, and had this way of making you feel like you were the only person in the room. We got married young. Too young, maybe. And it wasn't long before the cracks began to show. He changed. Or maybe he just stopped pretending. He became unreliable, immature, and angry. When I got pregnant with Emma, things got worse. By the time Lily was born, he was already cheating. I filed for divorce when Lily was still in diapers. And to be honest, it was the best decision I ever made. The court gave me full custody. Daniel didn't even fight it. I think deep down he knew he wasn't father material. But I didn't expect that divorcing him meant I'd also be divorcing his entire family. Or at least I hoped I would be. The one person who refused to let go was his mother, Margaret Carter. She was old school, cold-blooded, and to put it plainly, cruel. She had always seen me as the woman who ruined her son's life, even though Daniel had done most of the ruining himself. At first, she tried subtle ways of inserting herself back into our lives, sending letters addressed only to the girls, dropping off unwanted toys at our doorstep, showing up unannounced to their school events. I ignored it at first, but her behavior only escalated over time. Then came the day she knocked on my door with a smug smile and a bouquet of flowers I knew wasn't for me. Emma opened the door before I could get there. That was my first mistake. "Grandma Margaret," she squealed. I stood frozen for a moment, anger bubbling in my chest. She had explicitly been told by the court not to contact my children without my permission. "Margaret," I said through gritted teeth, "you're not allowed to be here." "Oh, Olivia," she said, eyes narrowed behind her oversized sunglasses. "You know I'm only here because I care. You can't keep me from seeing my grandchildren forever." That moment should have been my warning. A storm was brewing. And Margaret? She wasn't going to play by the rules. A few weeks later, my daughters started receiving anonymous gifts in the mail. Toys, clothes, even candy. Always addressed to them, never with a return name, but always with the same handwriting. I knew it was Margaret. I reported it, of course. Told my lawyer. Documented everything. But when you're a single mom fighting against a manipulative woman with deep pockets and a twisted sense of control, the system doesn't always work in your favor. Then came the church ladies. Yep, you heard that right. 3 strange older women showed up on my porch one Sunday afternoon, while the girls were playing inside. They were polite, smiling, but their words chilled me to the bone. "We're from Margaret's prayer group," one said sweetly. "We just wanted to drop off some Christian reading materials and let you know that we're praying for your soul." I nearly laughed, but I was too furious to find anything funny. "She's told us everything," the second woman said quietly. "She says you're trying to erase her from her grandchildren's lives." I slammed the door on them, shaking, furious, scared. That day I realized, this wasn't just a bitter old woman being dramatic. This was a campaign. A full-on calculated campaign to harass me, to make me look bad, maybe even to take my children away from me. And I wasn't going to sit back and let that happen. I knew I had to fight back. But I couldn't do it emotionally. I had to be smart, strategic, ruthless in a way Margaret never expected from someone like me. Because if she wanted a war, she was about to get one. By now I understood one thing. Margaret wasn't going to stop. She had crossed legal lines, moral lines. She was orchestrating a campaign of guilt and harassment. And no matter how many times I told her to back off, she always found new, insidious ways to creep back into our lives. But what really set things in motion, the moment where everything changed, was Emma's birthday. She turned 9 that year. I planned a simple party in our backyard. Pink balloons, a rented bouncy castle, cupcakes with her favorite strawberry frosting. She was beaming the entire time, her friends running around with painted faces, while Lily danced to the pop music blasting from the little speaker we had set up. I thought it was a perfect day, until I saw Margaret, standing across the street, wearing all black, watching us. I swear for a second I thought I was imagining her. But no, it was really her, sunglasses, tight curls tucked under a sun hat, arms crossed like some evil cartoon villain, just standing there, watching my child's birthday party from the sidewalk. I ran over to her, heart pounding. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" I snapped, trying to keep my voice down. The last thing I wanted was to cause a scene during Emma's birthday. "I just wanted to see my granddaughters happy," she said calmly. "It's not illegal to stand on public property, but it is harassment when you've been told to stay away." She turned and walked off, but the damage was done. That peaceful bubble I tried so hard to build? Shattered. That night, I sat on the kitchen floor after putting the girls to bed. I really cried for the first time in months. I felt violated, cornered, alone. But then something flipped inside me. I wasn't a victim. I couldn't afford to be. I had two little girls who needed me strong, who needed me fighting. So I started building a plan, not just to protect us, but to make sure Margaret never dared to come near us again. I bought a doorbell camera, a good one. I installed motion sensors, signed up for cloud video storage, and started saving every suspicious car, every anonymous package drop-off, every time Margaret's car slowed down in front of our house. I even taught Emma and Lily how to come to me if anything felt weird. I hated having to explain this to them, but I wasn't going to let ignorance be a weakness. I also set up a second email address and started documenting everything. Photos, letters, videos, time-stamped voice memos when things happened. I created a folder titled, Margaret's War. I didn't know when I'd need it, but I knew that day would come. Remember those church ladies Margaret sent? Well, I decided to meet them again, but this time on my terms. I visited the church she was part of, sat in on a service, joined one of the women's brunch groups, smiled, listened, introduced myself as the daughter-in-law who's been struggling with her mother-in-law since the divorce. And slowly, one by one, they started to see the truth. "Oh honey, she told us you were keeping the kids away out of spite," one woman confessed to me weeks later. "But you seem like a great mom." I smiled. All I ever wanted was peace. Word got around. The prayer circle Margaret weaponized? Turned on her. This part took patience. Margaret was smart, but she was also prideful. She hated being ignored. So I stopped reacting. No more shouting matches. No more direct confrontation. Just silence. And like clockwork, she started pushing harder. She sent one of her church friends to sneak a recorded message to the girls at school, posing as a family friend. The school called me instantly. The lady was escorted off campus and banned. Bingo. With that, I had the last piece I needed. Between the male harassment, stalking, third-party contact attempts, and now an actual attempt to breach school grounds, I finally had a clear-cut case. I sat across from my attorney, Jessica Morales, and showed her the full Margaret's War folder. The camera footage, the screenshots, the voicemail, the school report. Jessica leaned back in her chair, eyebrows raised. "Olivia," she said, "this isn't just a restraining order anymore. This is bordering on custodial interference and stalking a minor." My breath caught. "Can we take it to court?" I asked. She nodded. "Absolutely. And I guarantee you we're going to bury her." Margaret looked smug when we walked into that courtroom. She was dressed like royalty, pearl earrings, navy suit, even a tiny American flag pin on her lapel. But her smile faded the moment Jessica opened the folder and presented the judge with every single piece of evidence we'd collected. The judge's eyes narrowed. He read through the timeline, listened to the voicemail, reviewed the school report, and then he made his ruling. A 10-year no-contact order, enforceable by arrest. Any attempt by Margaret to contact me or the girls, directly or indirectly, would result in criminal charges. She wasn't even allowed within 500 feet of my home, the school, or any public place where she might run into us. The look on her face? Priceless. But don't worry. The revenge wasn't over yet, because now, it was my turn to finish what she started. That voicemail entered into evidence. Her mask was slipping, and when she showed up at court for the civil suit, flanked by a cheap lawyer, dressed in something that looked like she robbed a thrift store's Victorian widow section. Even the judge seemed exhausted by her antics. Jessica stood up, cool and collected, and laid out everything. The stalking, the church flyers, the school interference, the post-restraining order retaliation, the psychological toll on my daughters. By the time Jessica was done, even I was shocked by how damning it all sounded. Margaret was ordered to pay $25,000 in damages. Not the full $75,000, but enough to hurt. Her bank accounts were garnished. Her church cut ties with her. And her name? Now synonymous in town with the phrase, "That crazy grandma who lost her mind after the divorce." Hell, justice tasted delicious. With the money from the lawsuit, I did something symbolic. I used it as the down payment for a new home. A fresh start. A new chapter for me, Emma, and Lily. Somewhere Margaret didn't know. Somewhere safe. And as we pulled into the driveway for the first time, sun setting, pink skies, my daughters squealing as they raced toward the porch, I stood for a moment, just taking it in. Peace. I finally had it. Months later, I got a letter in the mail. From Margaret. Handwritten. No return address. Just 2 lines. "You've destroyed this family. I hope you're proud. God will punish you." I smiled. Then I walked outside, lit the letter on fire, and watched it burn in the driveway. A small funeral for the last thread connecting me to her toxicity. Because no, I didn't destroy this family. She did. With her own hands. I just refused to be collateral damage. My name is Olivia Harper. And that's how my XML tried to destroy me, but ended up ruining herself. Let that be a lesson. When you come after a mother protecting her children, you better come prepared to lose.